Hello from Portland, Oregon. I'm going to do a number of videos about my city today because obviously everybody is up in a tizzy because Donald Trump barfed up a post this morning. Let me back up a little bit here. So late yesterday, there was a press conference where our mayor and our Senator Jeff Merkley and my Congresswoman Maxine Dexter, I don't know where our Governor Tina Kotek was, but a number of elected officials stood up and talked about the fact that the Trump regime said they're going to send federal agents into Portland to defend the ICE facilities or whatever. Just going to take this opportunity to remind you that the Portland police in court said that it's actually the ICE agents that are instigating the confrontations with nonviolent, unarmed protesters. It's ICE that's starting shit, obviously. I had conservatives arguing with me about that fact in my comments this morning on social media, and I was like, oh, are you calling the Portland Police Bureau liars? Are you saying that Portland's cops are lying under oath in court? Because they are the ones saying that ICE are the instigators. Anyway, so then this morning, Trump barfed up this post. I'm going to struggle to get through this without laughing. Every time I read it, I laugh. Okay. At the request of Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, I am directing the Secretary of War, Pete Whiskey Leaks Hegseth, to provide all necessary troops to protect war-ravaged Portland and any of our ICE facilities under siege from attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. I'm also authorizing full force if necessary. Y'all, I had people messaging me this morning being like, Trump says it's shoot to kill in Portland. I'm still mad at CNN for putting out a post saying that Trump was sending in agents to protect the ICE facilities in Portland that were under attack. First of all, there's one little ICE building on Macadam Avenue. There's nothing going on. There's nothing fucking going on in that building or outside of that building as of right now, 3 p.m. when I'm filming. I understand there are some prayer vigils and nonviolent marches and assemblies that are planned over the next couple of days. You know, as people are going to exercise their First Amendment rights, as they should. We should not be cowering right now in this moment. But there's no, first of all, there's no terrorist organizations operating in Portland unless you consider the American Gestapo, known as ICE, to be a terrorist organization. I mean, they are terrorizing our cities. But other than ICE and their reign of terror, there's nothing going on in Portland. We are a very boring city with a low crime rate. We just want to smoke our weed and drink our IPAs and walk our dogs in the park, y'all. And I got people in my comments who are like, why is he doing this to Portland? Why is he doing this? Well, there's 3 reasons. Number 1, he's mad that the ICE facility got cited for dozens of violations of their building permit. This is retaliation against the city of Portland for demanding that ICE obey the law and not violate their permit. By the way, almost all of those violations have occurred since Trump took office, and they were all for holding detainees far longer than they were legally allowed to be held. Also, I think denying lawyers access to their clients, you can look it up on the Oregonian. I also covered it in a video last week. So number 1, retaliation. Of course, Trump is a bully and a petty tyrant, and he does not like being challenged. And of course, retribution, vengeance are at the top of his list, right under grifting. You stand up to him, he's going to come after you. So 1, retaliation. 2, he's trying to do in Portland what he failed at doing in DC, LA, and Chicago. Trump's popularity is in the toilet. He is failing all over the place. Resistance is building against him and his regime. And so he's desperate to manufacture a scenario where he can declare there is a riot or an insurrection or rebellion, and then invoke the Insurrection Act and try and take away even more of our rights. It hasn't worked. He really thought it was going to work in LA. It didn't work there. He thought he was going to be able to do it in DC. Didn't work there, right? He's backed out of both of those places. He tried to go into Chicago, and JB Pritzker said, fuck off. You're not coming here. And so after his Chipocalypse post with his cringy AI photo of himself and threatening that he was going to declare war on Chicago, he actually chickened out and said, oh no, I'm going to go to Memphis instead. And he's going to fail in Memphis. He's failing everywhere. Nobody is taking the bait. Nobody is giving him what he wants. He's falsely trying to paint our cities as war-ravaged places that are overrun by, if it's a city with a black mayor or a large black population, he says things like gang violence, thugs, urban crime. Portland is very white, and most of our Black residents have been displaced multiple times. And so most of the Black population of Portland actually doesn't live down in the city center. So he can't use that like urban crime. So instead, he says Antifa, he says violent Marxist leftists. Right, it's just a repetition, a regurgitation of the Rush Limbaugh claim that Portland is a pinko city. We're a bunch of blue-haired, nose-ring liberals, whatever. Honestly, I think that this narrative that Portland is a violent place overrun by domestic terrorists and Antifa is really laughable, because if you understand the culture of Portland, we're like super conflict avoidant and somewhat passive aggressive. I mean, I'm not passive aggressive, I'm aggressive aggressive, but I'm not originally from here. And I actually find the level of kind of reserve and standoffishness and conflict avoidance of Portlanders to be fascinating from like a sociological perspective, but also deeply frustrating as somebody who lives here. Nothing about Portland is violent. So Trump is going to try and manufacture a scenario here that he failed at doing in other cities, and he will likewise fail in Portland. We are not going to take the bait. In fact, that's exactly what my Senator Jeff Merkley said. And I want to say here really quickly, I think that Jeff Merkley is one of the most I'm not somebody who worships politicians at all, and I don't put them on a pedestal. I think that Jeff Merkley is one of the most stand-up members of Congress. He doesn't take any money from AIPAC. He's consistently on the right side of issues. Jeff came out last week and said we should support Palestinian sovereignty. He went on a recent trip to Gaza. Jeff Merkley, y'all. Why the F is Chuck Schumer running the Democrats in the Senate? We could have somebody like Jeff who has integrity, actually cares about the American people, the rule of law, the environment, immigrants, justice, dignity, humanity. Anyway, okay, I'll stop gushing over Jeff, but I think he's a real one. So he had this to say yesterday, or maybe it was early this morning.
Trump is sending troops to Portland with the goal of, quote, doing a number on the city. And we know what this means. He wants to stoke fear and chaos and trigger violent interactions and riots to justify expanded authoritarian control. Let's not take the bait. Portland is peaceful and strong, and we will take care of each other.
Right, so that's Trump's second reason for pulling this bullshit. He's trying to expand his authoritarian agenda and take away more of your rights. He's trying to normalize federal agents and troops in cities across the country. He's trying to undermine the midterms, right? If he can say, oh, there's a riot, there's a rebellion, there's an insurrection, and I am going to, suspend posse comitatus, I'm going to put my troops all over the place, then he can intimidate people at the ballot box in November of 2026. Because guess what, y'all? Republicans are in the toilet. There is huge disapproval for what Republicans are doing to this country because they're in Donald Trump's pocket, right? They are a fascist party. They are taking away our health care. They are closing hospitals. They are ballooning the debt. And the American people are pissed off. So Trump knows the Republicans are doomed to fail in the midterms unless he can intimidate people, unless he can undermine free and fair elections. This is a classic authoritarian move, right? We still have elections, but we make it so difficult for people to vote. Or we put troops in all our cities so that when we declare that people who didn't win actually did, then there are all of these troops there to intimidate people so that they don't rise up and say, you motherfucker, that's not the results of these elections. You fucking cheater. That's not what happened, right? This is a classic attempt. Donald Trump, y'all, he's predictable when he does this shit. I don't know why people freak out. You can look at any other pathetic dictator in history and see that Donald Trump doesn't have an original thought in his brain. He's just trying the same tactics. So we should be able to anticipate what's coming, not to mention the fact that it's all written out in Project 2025. I read it. I don't know if anybody else did. I know it's really thick, but y'all, they spell it out in public. We should know what they're trying to do next. Anyway, the third reason, and I'm going to talk about this more in the next video, y'all. Okay, number one, retaliation for Portland issuing citations against the ICE facility. Number two, his desperate attempt to expand his authoritarian agenda after failing in multiple other cities. Number three, the Epstein files, y'all. All of this is meant to take the attention off the Epstein files. I mean, it kind of got buried a little bit, but Elon Musk, Steve Bannon, and Peter Thiel are all named in some of the new Epstein documents that have been released. Trump has repeatedly said he wants you to forget about the Epstein files and definitely forget about the cover-up. So everything he does, yeah, he's going to attempt his petty retribution. He's usually grifting. He's doing his predictable authoritarian playbook steps, and he's hoping to distract you from the Epstein files. We are not going to give him anything that he wants. We're not going to give him violence, and we're not going to be distracted. and we're not going to obey in advance.